on the important events of Afghanistan on Tuesday, July 22nd. Welcome. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, or UNAMA, has once again raised its voice in protest against the violation of the rights of Afghan women and girls. This time, the widespread detention of women in Kabul under the pretext of not observing hijab has sparked a new wave of concern in the country, and this issue has caused serious worry for this international organization. UNAMA has called for immediate action to stop this practice. More details in this report.
The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, UNAMA, has expressed concern over the detention of women and girls in Kabul for what has been described as failure to observe hijab, warning that such incidents further isolate women and girls and, by intensifying an atmosphere of fear, undermine public trust. In a statement released on Monday, July 21st, on the X network, UNAMA said that after receiving reports of the recent detentions of girls and women in Kabul, it has contacted Taliban officials and requested more information on the matter. According to this United Nations body, between July 16th and 19th, a significant number of women and girls were detained by Taliban government forces solely for what was described as failure to comply with hijab guidelines. In the continuation of its statement, the United Nations Assistance Mission has called on Taliban authorities to immediately revoke policies and actions that restrict the human rights and fundamental freedoms of women and girls. A number of women's rights activists have also described these actions by the Taliban as contrary to human rights standards, saying that even though women in Afghanistan fully observe hijab, their arrests show the Taliban's efforts to further suppress and force women to stay at home and remove them from public life. Safia Arifai, one of these activists and the head of the Rozaina Omi movement, said,
"The fact that the Taliban, under the pretext of hijab, want to suppress women more and more during this period sends a message that women should stay at home, not go out at all, and be placed under house arrest. The arbitrary detentions by the Taliban and the transfer of women to detention centers, police stations, and even unknown locations show that they have no regard for human dignity or the worth of a woman."
A number of girls and women whose relatives and acquaintances have been detained by the Taliban's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice in the past week, or who have witnessed these arrests themselves, have confirmed that these incidents have taken place in areas such as Sharina, Kalayala, Kotet Sangi, and Dashti Barchi in Kabul. Additionally, videos published on social media also show that the Taliban's enforcers from the Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice are arresting women and girls in certain areas of Kabul city. In these videos, the cries of protest and fear from some of the women can be heard. In response to the arrest of women and girls by the Taliban's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice in Kabul, a number of protesting women have strongly condemned this action by posting videos on social media, describing it as a sign of the Taliban's fear of women's presence and resistance in society. Despite the publication of reports and the rising voices of protest on this issue, the Taliban government has so far remained silent and has not made any statements regarding the matter. This is not the first time that the Taliban have arrested women on charges of not observing the hijab. In January 2024 as well, the morality police of the Taliban government's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice arrested a number of women and girls in several provinces of Afghanistan, including Kabul, for what they described as improper hijab. The Taliban government claims that women's rights are protected within the framework of Islamic Sharia in Afghanistan. However, since the Taliban returned to power in August 2021, extensive restrictions have been imposed on the educational, work, and social lives of women in Afghanistan.
While the International Labour Organization reports a rise in the global unemployment rate this year, Afghanistan is in a much more critical situation. After the change in the political system, the outbreak of COVID-19, and now the arrival of millions of migrants from neighboring countries, Afghanistan is grappling with a deep economic crisis and a high unemployment rate, which has left more than 20 million people in Afghanistan facing hunger. In this report, we have delved into more details on this issue.
In Afghanistan, unemployment is one of the major challenges that has brought thousands of educated and uneducated young people to their knees. While the Taliban government has made promises to create job opportunities, faces can still be seen in various corners of Kabul, the country's capital, who are searching for a livelihood with fading hope. Every morning, painters, construction workers, and people with various skills gather at intersections in Kabul. Their eyes are searching for an employer. Whenever a car stops near them, they all rush over and gather around the vehicle. At one of Kabul's busy intersections, a group of men sit with their work tools in hand. Subhanallah is one of them. He has been working as a gardener for years, but now he says he comes here every day looking for work and goes home empty-handed.
The Crusaders took over the intersection from us. They made me ready.
He says, "It's been a month since I started coming to this intersection. I've only found work for one day. Now you judge for yourself. What can I do with the money from just one day's work?"
You judge for yourself. That's it. I couldn't even buy flour. Couldn't even buy bread.
This isn't just Subhanallah's story. Many of these workers talk about psychological problems and despair.
These people you see, even the way they talk to you is filled with fear. They become mentally affected by unemployment. You can see it with your own eyes. You can hear what they're saying. They become mentally affected after losing their jobs, whatever they tell us from the authorities.
Some of these workers complain that with the return of Afghan migrants from Iran, job opportunities have become even fewer. Nayaz Muhammad, a painter, compares the past and present situation like this.
Back in the day, we used to work for 10, 15, sometimes 16 days. Our salary was 800. Now, if there's work, we work for 500. Sometimes we work for even 400. But they take advantage of us. Even the people who hire us take advantage, saying there's no work. Even with the migrants who have come, we don't get any work at all, sometimes not even one day a week, let alone making 500. We can't pay the electricity bill, we can't pay the power bill, and we can't pay the rent either 5,000. We have so many other problems too. Since the migrants arrived, there's just no work for us at all. We don't even work 2 or 3 days a month.
Some of the workers come to these intersections from far away, bringing their tools with them. If they find work, that's good. If not, they wait until evening, hoping someone might offer them a job for the next day. Zarin is one of them.
It's been 3 days now that I've come here myself, but honestly, there's just no work. It's really tough. We come here from early morning, but there's just no work to be found for us. We've been unemployed like this for 3 days. For labor work, sometimes someone offers 100 rupees, sometimes 200, 250, and at best, 300. If there is any work at all, honestly, we're even satisfied with 100 rupees. If someone even comes and offers 50 rupees, we're okay with that. What choice do we have?
But even here, there are some who have managed to find a way to earn a living through their own efforts. Hafizullah, who used to be a construction worker, now comes with a small cart selling vegetables.
50 in black, 4 eggs for 20 rupees. Fresh, 50 and 4 eggs for 20 rupees. I used to do mostly manual labor. Now I have 4,000 Afghanis. This is my cart. With this, by God's grace, I managed to earn a living. On average, we make about 300, sometimes 250 a day. 1,000 times, we thank God.
While thousands of young Afghans spend hours at these intersections hoping for a job each day, still, you can see hope for change in their anxious eyes.
Amid Afghanistan's widespread economic challenges, the Taliban administration's Ministry of Labor has announced a new agreement with Qatar to send Afghan workers abroad. This agreement, which initially provides for 700 job opportunities, is seen by experts as a small but positive step toward alleviating the unemployment crisis in the country. Please pay attention to our exclusive report on this topic.
The Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs of the Taliban government announced on Monday that the aim of this agreement is to send Afghan workers abroad legally, safely, and with dignity, and to support their rights in the future. Samiola Ibrahimi, spokesperson for this ministry.
For the first time, an agreement has been reached between the joint state-owned company of the state of Qatar and private employment agencies in Afghanistan regarding the deployment of Afghan workers. Based on this agreement, in the first phase, 700 job opportunities have been allocated for Afghan workers.
So far, the ministry has not provided details about which sectors these 700 job opportunities are in, or on what basis and how the workers will be selected. However, it has added that the process of registering and accepting workers will be legally and officially initiated by private employment companies under the supervision of the Directorate of Overseas Worker Deployment of this ministry. Nevertheless, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs of the Taliban government says in response that this is just the first step, and in the next phase, the Qatari company will provide them with a list of the jobs they need.
At the moment, this phase is just beginning, and after this, the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs will be in contact with other countries. For example, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and other such countries. At the same time, efforts are being made to address the problems and concerns of Afghans who are currently working abroad. And those who are newly sent or deployed will be sent legally.
The Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs of the Taliban government has asked people to register their information only at official, reputable, and approved centers, and, according to the ministry, to avoid going to unauthorized individuals, fake companies, or unknown sources. This is to prevent any possible misuse. Meanwhile, Mohammad Tahir Kamari, a labor rights activist in Helmand province, calls the deployment of workers to foreign countries a positive step, but says this process should be broader and more transparent.
Because it's a good step, a positive move. Besides Qatar, the Islamic Emirates should also try to send workers to other countries in a legal and regulated way. Because it's very beneficial for the workers. Most people don't have valid passports and visas. That's one issue. The second issue is that it should be transparent, meaning that those who have expertise in various technical fields, industries, like carpenters, for example, welders, or, say, tile workers or plasterers, in other words, skilled professionals. These people should be sent for 6 months. So after 6 months, either they should be replaced for another 6 months, or a new group should be sent.
The issue of legally sending Afghan workers to foreign countries has been discussed for years. Even during the previous government, this topic was brought up several times, but apparently, for various reasons, it didn't make much progress.
A new wave of forced deportations of Afghan refugees has begun in Tajikistan, this time affecting even women and children. Afghan refugees living in the country say that the process of arrest and deportation, which started 4 months ago, has intensified significantly in the past 2 weeks, and even people with legal documents are being detained in public places and sent to the Afghan border. Please pay attention to our exclusive report on this matter.
The situation is bad. No food or water. Since arrival, we've had problems. I realized our misery.
Nadia is a 37-year-old Afghan woman who was forcibly returned from Tajikistan to the city of Mazar-i-Sharif in Balkh province, Afghanistan. She, who is the mother of 3 children, says that for the past year and 6 months she had been waiting in Vadat township near Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, for her case to be processed so she could go to Australia. According to Nadia, in July, Tajik police took her 2 young sons to school, and after they were released in exchange for money, she and her children, despite having all the legal residency and refugee documents, were forcibly returned to Afghanistan.
They deported me. I said, I don't have money to go to Afghanistan. It was very hard, but I knew someone at the Sher Khan Bandar border. I called and said I don't have any money. Can someone help us? Then someone helped us, and we made it to Mazar-i-Sharif. They were going from house to house. They caught my sons all of a sudden to deport them. I went to them. I said, apart from me, they have no one. They don't have a father. Don't deport them. After that, he took money from us. He took care of them. Then I was forced, when they came to the door, to go and bring other Afghans for them. So I had no choice but to come.
Nadia added that her husband passed away 4 years ago due to COVID, and she has no other guardian. Another Afghan in Kabul, who introduced himself as Kabuli, also told Radio Azadi that he too was deported from Tajikistan in a similar way. He said that after living there for 2 years, about 54 days ago he was arrested at his workplace and sent directly to Afghanistan, while his wife and 3 young daughters are still in Tajikistan.
Isn't that right? I was working at one of the restaurants. I was working in the city of Vadai. Then one day, I didn't go. At 4 o'clock, some other guys came. They took me. They didn't accept any of the hard-to-get documents or cars I had. There was no vehicle to take us away. It was the place where they gather people for transport. I saw that they sent away about 27 or 20 people. There were 30 of us, but 26 were separated from us, and we were sent off. They didn't even check the passports. They didn't check cars at all. Basically, I got there with some credibility, and they moved us in a transit vehicle until night, arriving at 2 in the evening. At the border.
These Afghans say they are facing severe economic hardship and a lack of shelter, and before going to Tajikistan, they had sold all their belongings. Afghan refugees living in Tajikistan say that the process of forced deportation of Afghans began about 4 months ago, but in the past 2 weeks it has intensified, and even children and women are being detained from public places like markets, schools, courses, hospitals, and streets, and are sent to the Afghan border without regard for their legal documents. They say the Tajik government gave a 15-day deadline to leave the country, and Monday, July 21st, is the last day of that period. One of the residents of Vadat town in Tajikistan, where many Afghan refugees live and who did not want their name revealed in the report due to the sensitivity of the issue, said,
"Someone else has been informed that they must leave. If people don't have a residence card, they have to leave Tajikistan. If someone talks to the security personnel, they say, 'We have nothing to do with you. It's not our concern.' They say the distribution is being handled by others, and those who are supposed to go somewhere else should move on. For me personally, it's very difficult, because it's impossible for us to return to Afghanistan. The situation at the college is extremely distressing. They deport people without any specific criteria. Previously, it used to be that only men were deported if they were found outside. But this time, starting around Wednesday, it was different. They took children from educational centers and even entered places where women were gathered, and took them too. We faced a situation that was almost inhuman."
Another Afghan resident in this same settlement, who requested anonymity, said,
"The issue of deportation has been going on for about 15 days now. It's become very serious. They've given us a final deadline until Monday. It's just too much. It's reached its limit, and we ourselves don't even know what's going to happen to us. There are about 3 or 4 families like us. For now, we've sold off our belongings or packed up some of them, just waiting to see what happens by Monday. And if nothing changes, we'll head to Afghanistan. We ourselves are Canadian sponsorship cases, and our number has come up. Our visa process has moved forward. There are a lot of candidates in that program. But now for 6 days, we haven't been able to go outside. We sold everything we had and came here. We have no idea what's going to happen. We don't know what will become of us."
Some of these Afghan refugees say they can't raise their voices out of fear of being detained and deported. They add that most Afghans living in Tajikistan have sought refuge in this country in hopes of reaching third countries like Canada, the US, or Australia, and for security and educational reasons, especially for their daughters. They have also raised similar claims and concerns. They have also shared videos, photos, and documents showing that Tajik police are pulling Afghan migrants out of their homes, transporting them in vehicles to migration centers, and then sending them to the Afghan border. Although the Tajik government has so far neither denied nor confirmed these claims, it has officially acknowledged the expulsion of refugees from the country. Kovar, the state news agency of Tajikistan, published a statement from the press center of the Border Forces of the State Committee for National Security on July 19th, stating that the number of foreign nationals migrating to Tajikistan has increased. According to their claim, some have entered the country illegally, and a number of others have seriously violated residency laws. But many Afghan asylum seekers reject these claims, saying that entering Tajikistan illegally is almost impossible. According to this statement, these individuals are involved in promoting and spreading the views of extremist groups. They provide false information and documents in order to obtain refugee documents. They abuse the asylum system. They hold third country citizenship and use Tajikistan's territory as a transit route for drugs. However, Tajik border forces have not provided any concrete evidence or specific statistics regarding this, and all these claims have been rejected by Afghan asylum seekers. Tajik officials said that the deportation of a number of Afghan asylum seekers was carried out for this very reason. The statement did not mention how many Afghan asylum seekers have been returned to Afghanistan in recent days. Previously, the Taliban government's Ministry of Refugees had stated that in the first week of Jaza, 48 people were deported to Afghanistan through the Sher Khan port in Kunduz province. All of these individuals had legal residency documents, but the reason for their deportation was not specified. The Embassy of Afghanistan in Tajikistan, which is still run by Zahir Akbar, the ambassador of the former Republic of Afghanistan, has confirmed the deportation of these asylum seekers and expressed concern about it. One of the officials from the media department of this embassy, who did not want their name or voice to be mentioned in the report, said that the Afghan ambassador and his team, through official letters to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Tajikistan and several other relevant institutions, have requested a halt to the forced deportation of Afghan asylum seekers and an extension of their stay. However, they have not yet received any official response from the Tajik government.
News coverage.